In our world lead now, the U.S. State Department is demanding the immediate release of two U.S. journalists, Nathan Mung and now Danny Fenster. Fenster was picked up just last week as he was about to leave Myanmar. Mung has been held there for months. Both are in a prison notorious for brutality and torture. Their unexplained arrests are yet two more outrages in a country where the military overthrew a freely elected civilian government in February and is in the midst of a bloody crackdown on dissent and the truth, as CNN's Anna Corin reports.
Jake, American journalist Danny Fenster still hasn't had access to US consular officials, despite being detained now for over a week in Myanmar's most notorious prison. The US government is demanding his immediate release, but so far those calls are falling on deaf ears. A curious mind with an empathetic heart driven by wanderlust. Danny Fenster knew that journalism was his calling.
Thought it might be interesting to show the kids how I commute around Yangon.
So when the opportunity arose to move to Myanmar and cover this complicated country in Southeast Asia, the Detroit native jumped at it, eventually landing a position at the independent online news outlet Frontier Myanmar as the managing editor. But when the military staged a coup on February 1st, sparking wide-scale protests followed by a bloody crackdown, Danny and his colleagues soon realised their profession made them a target.
There is no safe way of doing journalism. It is a job that you do inside the country at extreme risk, but it's an extremely important one. And I think for a long time in Myanmar, being a foreign national was seen as a protection.
Not anymore.
Miss you so much. I can't wait to get home and see you.
When 37-year-old Danny tried to board a flight to Kuala Lumpur, then on to the United States just over a week ago, authorities arrested him.
Their efforts to squelch journalism, it kills life and it kills freedom, it kills truth. And I think that they just need to let him go immediately. He has not committed any crime there.
He's the fourth foreign national among the more than 80 journalists who have been arrested since the coup began. Another US journalist, Nathan Mung, was also detained back in March when his offices were raided. A family friend of Nathan's told CNN that the editor-in-chief of Kamiyat Media was tortured for 2 weeks after his arrest. The 44-year-old and his local producer were severely beaten around their heads, burnt on their stomach, buttocks and thighs with cigarettes, and made to kneel on ice while their hands were handcuffed behind them during interrogations. The Committee to Protect Journalists has described the abuse as unconscionable. Both Danny and Nathan are being held in the notorious insane prison, a monument to brutality, housing more than 10,000 prisoners, of which hundreds are political prisoners. The squalid conditions and acts of torture behind these gates are well documented from those who survived to tell their stories.
There are many, many people in that prison who are going through hell right now, and they've done nothing wrong.
Owen, we're not using his real name due to safety concerns, was one of Danny's closest friends in Myanmar. He left the country back in April as the crackdown against journalists escalated.
The longer you stayed on, the more risk you were taking of them one day coming into your own house and taking you away as well.
According to the human rights group Assistance Association for Political Prisoners, more than 830 civilians have been killed in Myanmar, also known as Burma, in the last 4 months. And more than 4,300 have been arrested. Danny's wife remains in Myanmar, while his family back in Michigan worked tirelessly to keep his detention in the headlines.
This place. I love you so much.
Hoping and praying that the US government can negotiate their son's release.
It's a total nightmare. It's a total feeling of no control. It's heart-wrenching. And I just want my son home no matter what it takes.
We asked the US State Department about claims that Nathan Mung has been tortured, but they refused to comment. He's now been charged under the military's newly adopted fake news law, which can carry a sentence of up to 3 years in prison.